And welcome aboard, listeners, to Ding, the premier MMO podcast, where we go into in-depth discussion on all aspects of what's popular and happening in the MMO sphere. My name is Kcaj. I am joined by the wonderful
Dr. Fox,
who is an expert, a verified expert in all things massively multiplayer.
Verified is a bit of a stretch. I did one seminar on Warcraft.
Well, you're the most qualified person I know to answer any questions that I have. Speaking of Warcraft, that is our topic for this pod. So, it's a really topical time for this. Warlords of Draenor, the pre-patch, is it?
No, the Warlords of Draenor is coming to an end. The pre-patch for Legion has released.
With some fantastic cinematics. Blizzard's really done a great job, I feel, on the teasers for this one.
They're getting so much better at it.
I mean, I guess we sort of saw a hint of what Blizzard is capable of recently with some of the Overwatch marketing materials.
Yeah.
But I think that the Legion cinematic videos are just sensational.
Well, I think they need to do it because World of Warcraft is their biggest source of income, and they neglected it for 2 years. They're going big dick on it, just as they should.
It's kind of strange that they would, put WoW in the back seat, so to speak, and focus on other pursuits. But I guess this is sort of their attempt to really make amends for that and really come back and say, hey, thanks for sticking with us. We really do appreciate the WoW player base, and we're making it up to you guys.
Yeah, and if you left, here's something real shiny to bring you back.
Yeah, hey.
They have a lot of goodwill to recover from this. They lost a lot of it during Warlords of Draenor. It was terrible. They moved a lot of their key players to different games, like Chris Metzen and Jeff Kaplan.
What are they most noted for?
Well,
just the lead creatives, or
they especially Chris Metzen, lead creative director. He has been working on Overwatch, so a lot of the head guys from the WoW team moved on to Overwatch because the team that was working on it really started to look like they were getting something really good. So they moved on there to make it amazing, and Overwatch is amazing. But they had to raise up a few of the other ones that are working in World of Warcraft. And so they came up with stupid ideas like one expansion a year, or rushing things out, a completely unfinished expansion that was Warlords of Draenor.
Right, which is what we're going to sort of cover in this episode.
Yeah, definitely Warlords of Draenor for now. It's coming to a close, and none of us could be happier.
I don't see enough dots. More dots now. Come on, more DPS. All
right, well, let's do a little bit of a retrospective then. Looking back on what Warlords of Draenor was and how it came to be. Now, I'm sort of a bit of a newbie when it comes to this stuff. So could you expand to me, what was the overarching plot? What did Warlords of Draenor bring to the WoW universe? What was its advancement?
It brought a steaming pile of mess. And when it first came out, there was quite a lot of hope because they said Garrosh has gone to an alternate timeline. They're using that to invade Azeroth, and we beat them back. We push into their alternate timeline of Draenor, where Garrosh was never born.
Is this the first time that we've seen a parallel or alternate universe style plot
is
in the WoW universe?
Of the game where you can go back in time and make sure things happened right? Because there's the thing about the World of Warcraft. It's so huge. There's a reason for this. There's a reason for that. But time dragons is the best way to explain that. But this one of the time dragons went rogue because he wanted like an army of orcs for himself. So he brought Garrosh to the alternate one. Garrosh just stabs him in the back real quick, easy, and starts working on creating the Iron Horde. And they changed the dark portal that would have been created like 30-something years ago into one that linked to our parallel universe, our timeline. So it's one timeline fighting another timeline. I will include a quick diagram in the show notes. It's important, but they made some great promises. They made things look cool. They said you're going to have your own fully customizable base in another world, in another timeline, another dimension, and you're going to beat up Gromash Hellscream as the final boss, and he's committed genocide and all those kinds of things. You got to put him down, but after a year of that unfinished mess, what they did was they just flipped it on its head. Suddenly, Gromash isn't so bad. He gets backstabbed by his dudes, and demonic energies come back in. Surprise, end boss is Archimond, and he sends the alternate timeline Gul'dan to our timeline, and we all just want to forget that ever happened. Nobody asked for that. It didn't make any sense. They did a 360 and walked away.
So does it almost stink a little bit of they've introduced this element? Well, they've sort of lent on the alternate reality as sort of like a story crutch, and it's kind of backfired on them a little bit, and they weren't able to wrap it up cleanly. And so now what we're dealing with is a very messy plot line. Is that sort of the main thing that deterred a lot of players, do you think, from this cycle?
Yeah. See, when they did that little turnaround, which made no sense, it was hardly clean. They obviously wanted to set the scene for Legion, and I guess the end part really did well in that. But they themselves at BlizzCon were asked, what's the deal with this Archimond that you've just thrown here? Is this our Archimond that went into another timeline? Is it from their timeline? Why is he sending Gul'dan to our timeline? Wouldn't he care about his timeline? And Blizzard, the Blizzard devs themselves, the WoW team, said, we don't know. We're still working on that. They actually said that.
Wow.
They knew that Chris Metzen, they knew he had enough goodwill with the players. He took the bullet for it. They put a big picture of his face on the Dark Portal thing on the middle of Semitic saying, I did this. He didn't do that. He didn't do that. They threw him under the bus. No, he jumped under the bus. He jumped under the bus. He knew what needed to be done. Yeah. Thumbs up to Chris Metzen for taking that bullet.
Throw more dots, more dots, more dots. Come on, more dots.
You can build your own realm, right? Your own instance castle.
Yeah, you build a garrison is what it's called. It starts off as a little camp, then moves into a fort, then turns into a bloody huge castle. And I felt like they announced that around about after the launch of WildStar, which had fully customizable houses. And so they're going to give you houses, we'll give you a castle. And the concept was really cool, but it was very unfinished. An example being they had about 10 finished Alliance garrisons that you could swap out and customize, but they had only one done for Horde, and Horde's one's just pretty much a hole in the ground. So we didn't get those 10. We got one. But the garrison wasn't too well implemented, but I really liked it. I like having this base. I like having my own army. I like defending my base from NPCs. It's great. And in the Legion pre-patch, your army that you've been raising for 2 years, 1 year of that being completely lacking content. Like we went a whole year without anything added to the game. So much for their 1 a year thing.
Yeah.
It's been out for 2 years now. More than half of that was just the same raid. That's it. They released the final thing, and then we went a year with nothing. But in the Legion pre-patch, all your followers and your personal followers and stuff are all lined up, and they're ready to join the third fleet, which is your fleet, to assist the fight at the Broken Shores where the Legion is invading.
Awesome. We'll get to that in just a minute. That's obviously stuff that's been new gameplay mechanics that have only been brought on very recently, correct?
Yeah, very, very recently.
Aside from the garrisons, what other gameplay developments were there for the whole pack?
Well, for Warlords of Draenor, they did introduce quite a few nifty new things, and it's felt like we're in some weird sort of experiment, because they have been experimenting with things like personal loot rather than rolling on loot. So all these, they have evidently learned a lot of lessons from this complete fuck up, and but so Legion is looking really good, and everybody is excited for it. People haven't been this excited since Wrath of the Lich King, which was an amazing expansion. So if you go back to the content from, say, Burning Crusade, it has no direction. When Wrath of the Lich King came out, you had a solid story. You just had so much to do, and it was great. They kind of did the same thing with Cataclysm and Mists of Pandaria, but when Warlords of Draenor came around, they fucked it up again. But hey, everybody has to start somewhere. I just wish they would have kept a few members of the team around just so they could guide them on this little journey they took. But
so it wasn't as much of a guinea pig experiment, using the player base to sort of say.
I feel like we've been beta testers for 2 years for Legion, but at least Legion will be good.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he just ran in.
The pre-patch, it's not so much a pre-patch as it is like a hype run for the Legion.
The hype
expansion.
train, it is, it's tooting, man. Everybody is madly excited. For the past half a year, we've had barely anybody in the guild logging on because, what are they going to do? They didn't have anything to do. We went through the worst content drought we've ever had. But the moment Legion pre-patch came in, all the officers and I have been very busy.
So let's talk numbers here for a second. So going from how many people would you say would have been in the guild before to now?
Anything from 1 to, on a really good night, maybe 10, 11. Now, that 10, 11 it must be really quiet if we got 10 or 11 people.
Right.
Just the other night, we had like 30 online. It was crazy. It was loud. And yeah, so we've all had to kick into gear and start paying attention to what's going on.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Was there any sort of graphical improvement with the Warlords of Draenor, or was it very much the same? Or were there any sort of expanded map areas?
Well, see, this is a thing about them rushing it. So, they released it when it wasn't done. One of the things that they promised was redone character models. We'd been running older looking character models for about 8 years, and they were getting really dated. So when it released, a lot of the races got some really fancy remodels. It looks gorgeous now. It's fantastic. But when that came through, they were still lagging behind on finishing the Blood Elves. They hadn't even finished that job when the expansion launched. So that came in partway through the expansion. But with this Legion pre-patch, they have worked on it again. All our combat animations have been redone. Everything is even smoother looking. So they're definitely on the right track graphically. As far as an expansion, an expanding of the world that you can go in, we went to alternate timeline Draenor. 30 years in the past Draenor. It's right. It looked great. Like everything was really pretty. They have done a fantastic job. And based on the stuff I've seen coming for Legion, it's more of that. And that's great. So their art team has been doing a great job. Their art team has just been mismanaged.
So it looked good, but it wasn't compelling to explore. Is that what you're saying?
I personally found it compelling to explore, and they also hit a lot of treasures around. So that is another thing that I think they were experimenting with, letting people explore a new thing with lots of hidden treasures around the place. And I love exploring in MMOs. It's been my favorite part of every MMO I've played, the exploration, and that they did very well with that. Actually, look, I might be mad at them, but when they did a good job, I'll say they did a good job. I'm going to be their most vocal supporter and their harshest critic, because I love it so much.
How large, in comparison to some of the already existing areas, would you say that they added to the game?
I think it's actually a little bit smaller than when they released Mists of Pandaria. I'm not sure. it would be about the same size, or any difference in it would be negligible. It was a decent size chunk of world they put in, and they were very diligent and completed parts of the world that they never touched because they never got around to finishing it. But those random places look great. Some even have their own music and stuff. Russell T. Brower's music. Like, I need to say this: the music composition, World of Warcraft, it's the best soundtrack. Hell, in show notes, I'll link a little extra down there, just to maybe one of their medleys, so you can sit down there and really enjoy Russell T. Brower. Oh my gosh, there are other composers there, but he's the big name.
What was that?
I was flicking some eggshells, and now they're all over my desk. Oops. Whoops.
Never know what to expect. That's excellent. So, I mean, music was good. Was the sound effects good? The audio good? Anything? Dialogue, was that all up to scratch?
They've been working on doing a lot more voice acting, and it's really added to it. I really love that. And they said for Legion, they're making even more things. Just even random mobs will occasionally shout out something, which in some games has been very annoying, but it's rare enough in the Legion pre-patch at least that I'm really enjoying it. They said they've recorded over 200 hours of just tiny, voice snippets for things to say.
That's great. It's really good in games when you've been playing for a while, but you still encounter little things like that are new that you haven't heard yet. That's really good that they're focused on that aspect.
Yeah, they're working on that. So Legion's looking great for voice act, for like improved dialogue, and they're doing a new system called talking heads, where your quest text might be read out by them, or during combat they'll be shouting things out. And you get their little head at the bottom and dialogue box,
sort of like Star Fox style.
Yeah, but too many monstrous people in World of Warcraft don't even have their sound on. They are missing out. It has the best sound direction of any MMO ever played. They're doing it wrong.
Listeners, in case you haven't cottoned on yet, Fox really likes WoW.
It's my favorite MMO, and it deserves that, because even when it was at its worst, it was still better than all the competition. It is the gold standard for an MMO at the moment of its genre. An MMORPG, it holds the majority share in the market for a reason.
So you don't think we're on the verge of seeing a WoW killer per se?
There's no such thing as a WoW killer. The only thing that can kill World of Warcraft is itself. We could see it with Warlords of Draenor. Let's go back to say, what's a good example? Guild Wars 2. Loads of people expected that to knock World of Warcraft socks off. Nothing had really competed well with it, and that one was looking so good, didn't really make a dent on their numbers.
Right.
When WildStar came out, people expected that to happen again. WildStar, which we're going to talk about in another episode, of course, is like vanilla World of Warcraft 2.0. It was they were stuck in the past, but they had 40-man raids, they had exciting combat and the same kind of referential humor. And some of the people who made it were from the original World of Warcraft team from a long time ago. But the thing about almost a decade-old idea that World of Warcraft, the original World of Warcraft was, it hasn't aged that well. All the quality of life things that you expect from an MMORPG.
Sorry, for an MMO numpty like myself, would you be able to explain, what do you mean when you say quality of life?
Quality of life things, stuff like having a group finder or having good bank storage, or just things that they put in that you very much miss when you're in another MMO. So say World of Warcraft is very add-on friendly. So if you look at my own UI, I have I don't use that many add-ons. Some people have completely redone their UI.
Right.
I like to just have a few things just pop up to remind me when, say, a cooldown is ready, or how much longer a bleed is on a target for.
And that's things that they would have learnt from years and years of experience of listening to player feedback, figuring out what works, what doesn't. And new and upcoming MMOs, they just don't have that experience behind them, I guess.
Yeah, it's that they need to have the whole decade of advancement that World of Warcraft has made, some of which they've pioneered, some of which they've refined. If you don't have that in your MMO, it feels like your MMO isn't done. You know, you need to have everything World of Warcraft has and more if you want to compete.
Yeah. Exactly.
It wasn't present in something like WildStar. So again, you know,
WildStar went free to play in almost record time, really.
That was really quick. Yeah, and Star Wars: The Old Republic. See, nothing can kill World of Warcraft except World of Warcraft itself. Like Warlords of Draenor, they hurt themselves so badly with that. They lost millions and millions and millions and millions of subscribers because they underperformed. A lot of the promises they made were never delivered, and they lost a lot of goodwill with the player base. But it survived.
Is it true that during the time that Warlords of Draenor was out, Blizzard actually stopped reporting subscriber numbers?
That is true, yes. They seemed so embarrassed about it that they stopped saying how many subscribers they had, which was something they used to do. They said, "Oh, no, we want to judge the game now based on how much fun people are having, you know, what they're doing." And in my opinion, that's an even worse thing to be counting, because as fun as the game is, not many people want to play the same things that were released a year ago over and over and over. And just before the pre-patch was announced, everything was running thin. We were at the end of our ropes.
Go away from the head, Lee. Go away. Lee, do not.
You watched me at a quiet time. That was really quiet. Yeah. Like, if you watched me play now in the Legion pre-patch,
there's so much going on.
Shit is chaotic. It's wonderful. You know, there's gigantic machines of war, you know, that are walking on two legs, coming down from spaceships and portals, and, you know, just watching all the players running around trying to fight them.
And it doesn't feel, I mean, playing devil's advocate here for a second, it doesn't feel like parlor tricks to sort of get the audience back. It does feel like thought out, well-crafted plot lines and story worlds. Yeah,
see, one of the things that they keep on mentioning about this, you know, as if they want to reassure the player base, you know, that they're not rushing this, that they've been working on this since Mr. Pandaria, apparently.
Right. Well, that's interesting. I mean, if this then flops, which I'm assuming it won't, but if it does, then that's a lot of egg on Blizzard's face. So they must be really confident in their product.
They can't sustain another major loss like this. If another major loss happens, it would very likely be the end of World of Warcraft.
Wow. So it's just the sheer upkeep of running a game with that many players. You know, it's actually got a very careful balance of the cost of running the servers and keeping the game alive, as opposed to how much subscriber base they have going at any given time.
Well, see, like the subscriber numbers were probably down to maybe 3 million, or, as you know, a very cynical estimate. And that's still 3 million people paying at least $15 a month. You know, this is a massive cash cow for Blizzard, and I feel they accidentally did treat it like a cash cow and didn't, you know, make sure that the cow was fed and that all its insides were working. Instead, they just rushed it out. But the way this is looking, it is looking very healthy. This cow is well fed, or at least looks well fed. We'll have to see how it actually goes. But,
yeah.
And a lot of people do not have any expectations at the moment. Because they feel very burned, to be honest.
If I put you in charge of Blizzard and I said, knowing everything you know about Warlords of Draenor now, what would be the couple of key points it would really redirect the team to focus on for the release to fix this muck-up? What do you think they could have done differently or better?
Definitely all the directors and executives of their fields really needed to have a much cleaner way of working with their team. They've got a lot of employees working on World of Warcraft, and some of them, they were making, say, those garrisons, and then just didn't put them in because they didn't have the other factions done. Like they should have split that team into two. One team do the Horde stuff, one team do Alliance stuff, instead of just trying to knock out all this Alliance stuff and then realizing they don't have any more time. And so all that's a lot of wasted work. A lot of things went to waste with Warlords of Draenor, and that definitely the management would have been what I would have changed.
Just the allocation of how much energy and time is spent on each particular area and redistribution of that so it's more effective.
Yeah, resources were being wasted.
God damn it, Leroy. God damn it. Leroy, you moron. Leroy.
At least I have chicken.
You best be getting your popcorn ready, because I believe we will be shortly seeing a World of Warcraft movie hit in the cinemas.
Gosh, you are a filthy casual, aren't you? It's already been released. It's not in cinemas anymore. It's been months.
We're going to erase that bit. That last 10 seconds
keep
is
it
dead.
in. Keep it in. I need to know. Look,
there's only room for one expert on this show, and that's you. I'm not going to make any claims on that. Oh, jeez.
That was good.
So the Warcraft movie, how did it rate for you?
All right. It did terribly in the West, but it did amazingly well in China. Because the Warcraft movie was it's a cinematic universe. You've got the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is different to the comic universe. This cinematic universe is different to the game universe, and thankfully so, because some of the decisions they made, several decisions I could see were just, injected by some executive saying,
right.
No, you need to have this love story in here. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to cut short these things. It was a fan-made movie for fans, and as far as that went, it was great. Sitting back, chilling, watching, all this flashy business, all this stuff. This is Warcraft. Yeah, it's great. I still wish it didn't exist. I think it was 4 years too late, and some of the choices they made wouldn't fly. They didn't fly with me, like the weird MacGuffin of this massive black cube they had. I don't mind characters being gender swapped. The accidental bad guy who was a good guy. They cut out all the possession thing of Medivh. Instead they made him the father of Garona, where in the game universe he had a little bit of a fling with Garona, so he could not have possibly been a freaking dad. And like in the movie she's half human, half orc, whereas in the game she's half Draenei, half orc. Yeah, I wish it didn't exist, but I still enjoyed the movie. I sat back and I made sure no expectations. I'm just going to watch this awesome Warcraft thing. And I was granted an awesome Warcraft thing. I preferred the novelization by Christy Golden. Christy Golden is my favorite author, and she did a fantastic job of it, way better than the movie did.
Did she stick to the same plot, or did she fix those?
She stuck to the same plot and filled in the holes very well. She's always good at that. See, when Blizzard needs to fill in holes, they call Christy Go. That sounded terrible. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, Christy.
Professional hole filler.
We need to fill some holes. Let's call her in. No, I'm sorry, Christy. I just really love your work. Oh my gosh, Nash. Oh dear.
Oh boy. Yeah, well, I think what we've seen recently with a lot of story worlds adapted for cinema is that there has been a lot of the executive producer stepping in and saying, I want this in there to sell more seats or this and that. And it has disappointed a lot of fans of the franchises. So you've done well to still maintain a healthy appreciation for the movie. I probably, if I was that invested, I would not be giving it such a healthy outlook. But no, good for you. I mean, that's the key, I guess. If you can go in and just enjoy it for what it is and just try not to get too angry.
Yeah, that's the best way that is the best way to approach the Warcraft movie. Just sit down and enjoy a flashy movie. It wasn't as bad as the Super Mario Brothers movie. But just like that, I still wish it never existed. If you're not going to do it perfect, I wouldn't do it. Too many people invested in these things.
Left side! Many whelps! Now handle it!
So, Warlords of Draenor, that was our topic for this discussion. How many hats does Fox give it?
Hats. I love my hats. That's probably my favorite thing about World of Warcraft, all the hats they've been putting in. How much would I rate Warlords of Draenor?
Yeah.
For what they had finished, I will give that definitely 4 out of 5 hats, you know? Things felt rushed, but what was in there was top score. For the past year of World of Warcraft, of Warlords of Draenor, I would probably give it 2 or 3. Look, it's still that's hurting
hats
it.
Off.
Hats off a little bit there, but it's still way better than all the other MMOs I've been playing. So, like, look, I'm just going to judge it harshly because it should have been done better. Look, Blizzard is expert at refining genres. So, you know, you had your MMORPGs like EverQuest and stuff out there, but World of Warcraft perfected that. They've perfected the computer collectible card game genre. You know, Hearthstone is wildly popular. When people think, you know, sort of top-down hack and slash, they still think Diablo. When they think RTS, they still think StarCraft and StarCraft 2. You know,
and now when they think FPS, they're going to think Overwatch.
Exactly. You want a team shooter? There's none better than Overwatch. And I'm personally a massive fan of Heroes of the Storm as well, which I think brings a really, really nice touch to the MOBA genre. But yeah, that's why I'm judging it harshly. It's 3 hats. It's probably still 5 hat worthy for another MMO. But gosh, over a year of nothing. What the hell? The most they added in was a selfie camera, which is really awesome. Having a selfie camera and posing with that's actually really cool. But that's all we got. We lost a raid tier for that. Is the joke? That's the joke. Whenever you get something like that, you know, you say, "Oh, we lost a raid tier for that." No, you didn't actually lose a raid tier. They didn't have any planned.
Well, there you have it, guys. Straight from the Fox's mouth. My name is Darth Kcaj. Thank you for joining myself and Dr. Fox on what has been the flagship episode of Ping. Oh God.
Ping, ding,
ding. Ding.
Oh my gosh, another filthy casual mistake. Don't know when movies are coming out. Don't even know the name of his own bloody podcast.
I'm going to retire in disgrace. No, because next episode, we're going to be talking about something I do have a bit of knowledge on, and that is Black Desert Online.
Yeah, all right.
I've got notes, I've got questions, and I want to get them answered by an expert. So I hope you're ready.
Okay.
You're going to be grilled, son.
All right, we'll do that next time then. Thank you for listening, everybody.
Thank you for listening. And remember, pre-order responsibly. Don't break the bank on those microtransactions. And as always,
watch your feet. That's what you do in raids. You got to watch your feet.
That's going to be the last.
Don't stand in the fire. Don't stand in the fire. How's that for an organic end? I like that.
That's great.
Yeah.